We've got our ESPN.com senior fantasy hoops expert, Andre Snellings, back in the building. Very nice to see you always.
Snelling.
And this we love seeing you no matter what, but this invitation sort of came out of the fact that two of our producers, who will remain nameless, producer Danny, may not be winning the Jump Fantasy Basketball League because right now producer Steve is winning the Jump Fantasy Basketball League.
Right.
And they would like some tips. Some of the guys at the bottom half would like some tips about how to climb out of the fantasy basement if you are someone who started the season maybe full of promise and it has not gone so well.
All right, so the first thing you gotta really recognize is we so early, right? I mean, if this was the NFL, we about an eighth into the season. So, I mean, that's like game 2, right? So there's plenty of time. And then other than that, you have to pay attention to your team. You know,
All right, so step 1 is what?
Step 1, make sure your lineup is set.
Well,
no.
I mean, is that really a problem?
That is a problem.
Like, how do you choose your players, though?
Well, no, you choose your players.
But then you forget to
and
set
then,
your lineup.
Yeah, you don't set your lineup. You don't pay attention to who's got more games in a given week. Or people in daily leagues, I mean, they might look up and it's Thursday, like, oh, snap, I ain't set my lineup since Monday. And you laughing, but you talking about producer Danny, I was hearing that on the way up here, that that is something that people need to know. So, you know, make sure you keep your lineup set. And
what about step 2?
Step 2 is pay attention to player value.
Okay.
You know, it's still early in the year, but every Monday I put out an article on player value and players that what we think they'll be for the rest of the season. And so that's, you know, helping you as far as like, well, that was Blake Griffin. Then okay, there we go. You know, my man Wendell Carter Jr., Serge Ibaka, you know, guys like that. They're really off to a hot start.
Yes,
you know, De'Aaron Fox.
Yes.
And you have to realize that these are guys that are playing better than their value was at the start of the year.
So they might not have been on your team to start. They might not have been picked up in your league to start. And if you can be crafty, you can sort of see them. I want to know for you guys, when was it, do you remember in your careers, that it stopped being, oh man, I love you, to you're on my fantasy team, bro. Why don't you play better today?
I don't think I played.
You didn't play enough in the fantasy era? I know Paul did.
I played early. Probably as early as my rookie year. I was on fantasy teams.
Yeah,
for sure.
And people would come by you. I know with a guy like Darren Fox.
Probably so.
You mentioned
No. Probably later in my career. Probably like 6th or 7th year.
That seems.
You know, because they started getting more popular in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, but I mean, fantasy basketball existed back then. I just don't know how many people were
I want to know,
about
how do you think we are fair in today's game in fantasy basketball?
Oh, y'all have been G's in fantasy basketball. Y'all were like top picks when I was getting into the league, you know? Your 2003 season was one of the best ones we've seen.
They had fantasy back then?
They had fantasy back then.
For sure.
Yeah, fantasy been around for a grip. There's more than 1 million folks playing ESPN fantasy this year.
It's huge now. It's off the charts now.
T-Mac,
I've
there's
been out of the
fantasy,
game so long, man.
and then there's no, okay. I want to get Serge Ibaka, by the way. Danny's in my ear. Is he on your team, producer Danny? Come on. What's going on with Serge and why people should pick him up?
Yeah, he is. He's never put up an offensive season the way he's putting up right now. He's averaging about 18 points. He's shooting dang near 60% from the field, and you know, the one thing about fantasy hoops is just hoops. So you know, Paul, T-Mac, you see somebody having a hot start like this, do you believe it? Or do you feel like, you know what, maybe I sell high on this guy now because this ain't real?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, right now it's real to me. Whether he sustained that or not, I don't know. But right now, I've never seen Serge play this way.
Well, he's playing a particular way, sort of within that system and sort of with the other guys around him that allow him to just go to the net.
I think he can sustain that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing very well. I don't know. It's tough because you got Kawhi, you got Lauri. Those are your stars. They're going to sustain throughout the season, but he'll be up and down, but he'll be more consistent than he has on offense in the past.
He tailored off last season, especially in the playoffs. He had a horrible playoff. So.
All right, give me step 3.
All right, step 3. You're going to really want to pay attention to injuries and potential diamonds in the rough. You know, so you got a cat like Lauri Markkanen, Boogie Cousins, you know, guys that have not been able to play because of injury, but they will be getting back on the court in the next month or so.
Yeah, but Boogie on that team, I don't think he'll fill the stats.
No. He's not going to be what he was, but Boogie on what he was a first-round pick. You know, now maybe he's a flex starter. He's still a starter.
There we go. So a lot of this, I don't want to say that this seems all like a bunch of common sense, but Andre, this seems like a bunch of common sense. Set your lineups. Know who's playing better, who wasn't playing good at the start, who wasn't, projected high going into the season, and then watch out when players come back for injury.
See, you would be surprised how much of this game is common sense. People tend to think about fantasy basketball like it's other. It's just hoops. It's just hoops. If you pay attention, if you instead of having to practice like y'all did, you're setting your lineup, you're reading up on who's healthy, who's playing well, who's not. That'll take you a long way, and you'd be surprised how many people don't pay attention.
It's different from football because it's every single day, right?
If you're in a daily league,
it's every single day. You have to make an adjustment every day. Maybe.
If you're in that type of daily league, right?
Yeah, in a daily league. There are weekly leagues where it's
to keep up with.
Well, yeah, weekly leagues are a lot like football in that respect. You set your lineup on Monday. You pay attention to who's playing that week.
More games that week.
Yeah, exactly. Who
are the top 3 fantasy players today, right now?
Today, I mean, just like when I was here last time, Giannis Antetokounmpo is the man. He's killing the game.
Westbrook.
Westbrook is up there. I've got Anthony Davis number 2, and then Kevin Durant number 3.
KD over Steph?
I've got
across
this
the board.
year,
Across the board.
and also you got I have to factor in injury history. Steph has had a little more injury history than Kevin Durant.
Oh, by the
this
way,
year they're 1-1.
A lot of the Warriors players aren't going to be playing fourth quarters this year, so that affects their numbers. You mentioned Westbrook; he's out with an injury. Didn't you hear the man? Pay attention to when guys are injured. Don't play them.